ladies and gentlemen, the next topic for today is weekly updates from the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine, and I'll give the floor to Mr. Alexander Hook, Principal Deputy Chief Monitor of the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission.
Good afternoon. The OSCE Special Monitoring Mission last week yet again observed another week of volatility and unpredictability. Despite the sides having agreed to a ceasefire, we observed over 8,000 violations of the same ceasefire committed by the same sides who signed the ceasefire agreements in Minsk. No one has been held to account. Violators, it seems, have impunity. And with impunity, there is more violence. Other provisions of the ceasefire agreement, provisions that are essential for underpinning the ceasefire itself, were last week also breached by the sides. The OSCE Special Monitoring Mission, for example, observed 52 heavy weapons in violation of withdrawal lines, 46 of them in areas not controlled by the government. Here, for example, you can see what a Special Monitoring Mission unmanned aerial vehicle spotted near non-government controlled Myusinsk 4 multiple launch rocket systems. And here, a multiple launch rocket system spotted by another SMM UAV near government controlled Konstantinivka. We observed no progress on disengagement, with ceasefire violations actually recorded inside one of the disengagement areas. Dear friends, instead of advancing along the Minsk roadmap, we saw the sides last week continue along the path of violence. The worst of the violence was recorded in places where the sides have moved their positions closer to one another, itself also a violation of the Minsk agreements. From our forward patrol base in Popasna, our monitoring officers on Thursday evening, the 22nd of February, recorded about 80 explosions and about 800 shots and bursts of various weapons, as well as 37 minutes of uncountable and overlapping explosions and heavy machine gun fire, all 3 to 4 kilometers southeast. The following evening, on the 23rd, and into the early morning hours of the 24th of February, the same monitors in Popasna heard 205 undetermined explosions assessed as caused by artillery rounds, plus an additional 539 explosions assessed as caused by outgoing artillery, mortar, or infantry fighting vehicle fire. Violence, even large-scale violence, has become so commonplace in eastern Ukraine, we sometimes fail to register its significance and utter abnormality. Firstly, every round fired has the potential to kill and maim many people. We have indeed seen over the past 3.5 years the carnage just one artillery or mortar round can cause. Unleashing hundreds of them in one evening from just one place is not only a gross violation of the ceasefire, it is a display of contempt and disregard for human life. There are approximately 20,000 people living in Popasna. Secondly, the violence we witnessed on Thursday and Friday is part of a wider upsurge that has engulfed western Luhansk region. The small village of Novo-Oleksandrivka, just southeast of Popasna, is crucial in understanding what has been happening. You may remember that the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission recently confirmed that Ukrainian armed forces have entered this village, a move that entailed a repositioning even closer to the contact line. Such repositioning, involving a move closer to the opposing lines, inevitably leads to more violence. The Minsk agreements are quite clear. There is no room for misunderstanding. In addition to withdrawing heavy weapons, the sides committed to maintaining their positions. Everyone understood, and at least the last few years have proven this on numerous occasions in various locations along the contact line, that movement forward closer to the opposing side results in increased, sustained and unpredictable violence. Events last week, with over 90% of all recorded use of proscribed weapons happen in the Popasna-Pervomaisk area, only serve to underline this long-established correlation. The violence last week around Popasna is also significant in one other important respect. Among the hundreds of explosive rounds observed by the monitoring officers at the forward patrol base, there were 10 assessed as outgoing 120 mm mortar rounds fired in close proximity of the base. This is not the first time that artillery rounds have been fired so close to this particular forward patrol base, and we have on more than one occasion been assured that this would not happen again. But like with so many other provisions of the Minsk agreements, the commitments made by the sides to ensure the safety and security of the unarmed civilian monitors of the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission remain unfulfilled. We see this failure to comply in the air as well, with yet again another OSCE SMM UAV being shot at last week. An attack on another OSCE SMM UAV this Monday makes this week the 5th consecutive week in which our UAVs have been targeted by small arms fire. Since the beginning of the year, 10 of our UAVs have been targeted by small arms fire, 6 times in areas controlled by the government and 4 times in areas not controlled by the government. Positioning weapons and firing them close to our forward patrol base endangers our monitors. Firing at our UAVs places the OSCE SMM operators in grave danger. Another effect, and perhaps the intended one, is our ability to monitor and verify the site's adherence to the ceasefire. As a result of the incident on Friday evening, we have had to withdraw our monitoring officers from the forward patrol base. Effectively, nighttime ceasefire monitoring and verification has been severely compromised in that area. We are mandated by 57 OSCE participating states to use UAVs. The use of UAVs is also endorsed by the signatories of the package of measures for the implementation of the Minsk agreements. We will continue to fly UAVs. We expect that the sites will in future respect our mandate and that they will fulfill their obligations undertaken in the Minsk agreements. The safety and security of our monitoring officer is, however, our highest priority, and so inevitably decisions as to where and when to fly UAVs will be influenced by security concerns. Dear friends, threats and attacks on our monitoring officers and the array of other measures taken by the sites to impede our monitoring, to effectively blind the OSCE SMM, in themselves constitute an early warning. Where there is a restriction, a threat or an attack on the OSCE SMM, there is invariably a violation of some other kind as well. The attack on the UAV on Monday this week illustrates this well. Just immediately prior to the attack, the camera on board the UAV recorded 4 self-propelled howitzers in violation of agreed withdrawal lines. The presence of these weapons demonstrates continued contempt for and violation of the Minsk agreement, and also suggests why attacks on OSCE SMM monitoring equipment have become a regular feature along the contact line. The sites do not want us to see what they are doing, as our reports make uncomfortable and inconvenient reading for some. Restrictions, attacks and threats are therefore like a canary in the coal pit that is eastern Ukraine. They warn of things happening and things about to happen. In this respect, it is worth noting that last week the OSCE SMM was repeatedly denied access to 5 border areas outside government control in Luhansk region. At one of these crossing points, in Voznesenivka, which has a railway running close by, the OSCE SMM has been consistently restricted by armed members of the so-called LPR since 15th February. Last week, our monitoring officers also attempted to monitoring in and around Siedove, near the border area outside of government control in southern Donetsk region. Armed so-called DPR members turned them back, as they have consistently done so since March 2017. Dear friends, if OSCE SMM UAVs are dropping like canaries, and our daytime patrols are restricted on the ground, and our nighttime monitoring is impeded at forward patrol bases, I respectfully suggest that it is time to pay attention. Time to realize that facts matter. The safety and security of SMM monitors is our greatest priority. For decision makers tasked with or who have assumed responsibility for ensuring the safety and security of all people in eastern Ukraine, surely it is time to recognize that facts matter and that the safety and security of SMM monitors, in particular their safe and unhindered access to all areas, is a key to unlocking this conflict. It is a key to restoring safety and security for all. Dear friends, people in eastern Ukraine have now endured 4 winters of cold, deprivation and violence. Something must change. If this is to end, if there are not to be more winters in which hundreds of thousands of people go without the basic necessities of life and in which their lives are threatened on a daily basis. We establish and report the facts, and anyone in need of a reality check need only to read our daily reports. The facts are clear. So long as the sides refuse to withdraw heavy weapons, so long as the sides insist on moving their positions closer to one another, so long as they refuse to demine, nothing will change. In fact, it can only get worse. Ultimately, if things are changed to the better, if this conflict is to end, the needs of the civilian population must be prioritized. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. Dear colleagues, if you have questions, you're welcome. If there is no questions, let's finish. Thank you.
Thank you.